Okay, my name is Adam Sharpe. I work with UNESCO. Dr. Sue Weiss is my boss, I'm proud to say. Give it up for Sue Weiss, thank you. And for all of our panelists. Not one hint of bias there. Okay, so this is our last session. And I want to ask you a question right now. Put your hand up. Actually, don't put your hand up. Stand up if you took the UNESCO survey. Stand up, please, if you took the survey that we put out there. Great. Okay, fantastic. The rest of you who didn't, leave. Go, leave, out. No, I'm joking. Just a joke. Okay. Would you like to hear the results of the survey? If you didn't take the survey, you will know we asked these young people some quite intrusive personal questions about a lot of different issues. So questions about family, religion, relationships, education, employment, etc. Before I go through the data and I invite my team up here to present the data to you, I just want to tell you why we did it, okay? At this session, we were testing you and learning from you how you responded to these questions. These were survey questions taken from Europe. They weren't localized for Asia and the Pacific. They were questions for Europe that we gave to you. So what you're going to hear today is probably we're going to get some criticism on the survey, and I expect that. But what we wanted to do was get you thinking critically about the power of the survey, the power of data to inform your advocacy, and how important it is to localize a survey to the local context. Before I do, I want to show you the program that we are going to launch. We want to launch Generation What for Asia and the Pacific. Here is the homepage for Generation What Europe. It was launched a few years ago. The survey has reached over 800,000 young people, asking them all kinds of questions. Generation What is about building or painting a portrait of a generation. A generation of young people who feel increasingly disconnected. Disconnected from each other, disconnected from society, disconnected from the political institutions that govern them, disconnected from the education systems that aim to prepare them for a world they do not feel prepared for. And this is one generation that probably doesn't feel much like a generation. Generation What is a vehicle by which we shine a light on the views, the attitudes, and the futures of young people. And I'm going to just take you very briefly through what the website can do, because I think you're going to be surprised. Generation What begins with its own survey, a survey that is localized in each country in which it stands. In Europe, it is in 13 countries, and as I said, it has reached over 800,000 people. As you can see, in which country do you live? Each survey is in local language. Each survey has been localized to that country and has been tested with young people, so the language impresses upon you. I'm going to skip forward to the survey itself. Check this out. We're just going to go through a few questions. Have you ever been involved in an arts-related organization? Yes, and I like it. Yes, but I wouldn't do it again. No, but I'd like to try. No, and I'm not interested. I'm going to answer a few questions, okay? Yes, and I like it. Do you have friends you can rely on? Lots, and I can really count on them. Some, and I really value them. You see how these questions are on a diversity of topics. How adult do you feel these days on a scale? I'm going to answer a few of these questions. What does being an adult today mean to you? Getting married and having children, not living with your parents any longer, etc. Around 150 questions of interesting, thought-provoking topics. If there were a war, would you be willing to fight for your country? Nope. Okay, right. So I just thought it was funny to say that. Okay, Do you think you will ever experience something else than the current economic crisis? Please remember that this is a survey for Europe. Anything about Asia and the Pacific would focus on this region. And I'm going to skip to the data. The data is free for all, open to all, collected and analyzed by sociologists, collected by engineers of the highest degree. Check out how interactive this survey is. You can choose a subject. Shout out which subject you want me to click on. You got to shout louder than that. Okay, thank you. Me, myself, and I. There is too much individualism. 495,000 answerers. 63% said yes. Here's where it gets interesting. We can disaggregate the data ourselves by gender. We can disaggregate it by students or workers, by age group, then by country. And you can analyze this data yourself on a range of subjects. Have you ever belonged to an NGO? Have you ever been involved in a local or community association? See how the data responds as we click through. Doesn't respond that much, apparently. So basically, when you respond to the survey, if I fill out the survey now, the survey will adapt to my answers right away, immediately. So the survey is in real time. So it's a very, very powerful tool to paint a portrait of a generation. And we want to do this in Asia and the Pacific. Does anyone like the sound of that campaign? Now, what's exciting about this, what's really exciting, is that we partner with Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union and public broadcasters who use this data, use this campaign to design documentaries and short films and different types of media. Media that can portray young people not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Through data collected by young people themselves. You see, a transmedia campaign that starts online and then spreads to radio, TV, on-the-ground activism. We're taking evidence-based approaches to our advocacy. And UNESCO and other UN agencies can use it to put pressure on policymakers to heed the voices and the ideas of young people. This is the power of the campaign. And that is what we were here to test. So we're going to present to you the data collected by the young people in this room. Would you like to see it? All right. I'd like to call up to the stage those who were involved in my action session, because they are going to present the data back to you. They spoke about the questions. They had discussion groups. Please come up to the stage, whoever is going to present. Please don't leave me hanging. Clap them up. Come on, don't be shy, let's go. Okay. Now there's 4 presenters. Okay. Now, you'll see we have this very clever little tool. We go full, malfunction. Everyone at UNESCO is technically challenged, clearly. Oh, no. There we are. Okay, great. Okay. So, we broke down the survey into 4 sections. It was not localized for Asia and the Pacific, so go easy on us, okay? We expect criticism, but we're interested to hear your responses to the results. Let's start off first with a group of questions called trust. Degree of trust. You tell me when you want me to change the question. Let's do this.
Okay, everyone, you might get a little bit tired, so we have one small activity very quick. So just follow what we do. Grab a partner beside you. So it's a very friendly kind of handshake when you see your friend. Hi, Jethro. So you do clap, clap, hold a hand, yeah. Yay! Can we do that?
Let's go,
Grab
let's go.
Partner.
Do it.
Yeah. What is that? Okay, ready? 1, 2, go. Clap, clap, hold a hand. Hey, yeah. Yeah, you just shout, yeah. Okay. All right, good job, everyone. Please have a seat. Yay, yay, yay. Let's have a seat.
So hello.
All right, I'm ready when you are, okay?
Okay.
So you start. Hello. Yeah. Okay.
Can everyone hear Jethro?
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Okay, so me and Jethro, my name is Sing Hui from Malaysia.
And I'm Jethro from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the survey done based on these questions. So tell us the degree to which you trust the following. So this is a survey that we done based on the delegates who filled up this survey. So let's look in the first question.
Shall we?
Do you trust government? So look at the survey response. So there are 13% people saying that, not at all, I don't trust the government. And 48% of them, sort of. Yeah, sort of. And there are 18% say, sure, I do, I trust my government. And 3% say, totally, I trust the government. And there's only 1% say that, I don't care. Yeah, so let's go to the next question. Yeah.
Do you trust ASEAN? So there are 5% that said, oh, okay, not at all. And there's a 28% that says sort of. And there is a significant difference. So this 31% said, sure I do. And 6% for totally. So, and 7% for I don't care. So that is the results for this particular question.
Yeah, so you can start to think, how is this survey response means to you? You also can think from your perspective, do you trust ASEAN? If you are the respondent, which part are you going to fill out?
Do you think it's right?
Yeah, next question, do you trust humanitarian organization? So there's only 1% saying that, not at all, I don't trust it at all. And there are 29% of them saying that, sort of. 38% saying that, yeah, sure, I do trust in your humanitarian organization. And 12 of them say totally they trust, and there's 1% saying that I don't care. So do you find the survey response surprise?
Just think if you agree to it or not. So,
Yeah.
Next. So do you trust religious organizations? So 12%, not at all. So there's a huge difference. So 41% for the sort of. And sure I do. The 20% of the people that answered the survey said sure I do, 20%. And 6% for totally, and 2% just don't care at all.
Yeah, and if you realize, if you calculate the total percentage, is don't even achieve 100%.
Yeah.
So you might ask yourself, where the rest of the percentage? So do they answer the survey, or what happened to the respondent?
Or why didn't they answer the question?
Yeah, why? Yeah, we can go to the next question. So do you trust trade unions? 8% saying that not at all. 38% saying that, yeah, sort of. 23% saying that, sure, I do. And none of them say they are, trust. And 3% say they don't care. So you can compare to the previous questions, where the percentage of respondents is much more lower than the previous one. So what does it mean behind?
Yeah, so significantly of the question of the people who answered the survey answered sort of. So internalize it. What do you think? Why do you think these people answered that kind of answer, sort of? So who has an idea, or who have a violent reaction? Or is there somebody who totally agreed that these are the percentage? So yeah, internalized.
This is a really interesting point that I think across humanitarian organizations, government, trade unions, there's quite a significant level of young people in this room feel unsure as to whether or not to trust them. So you see that the level of sort of is quite high with all of them. And that corresponds with a lot of our own research that young people feel like they're not sure whether institutions are actually represent them. Forgive us, it's hard to see because the lights are so bright. It's definitely a tricky process turning 2,000 lights off, but we're working on it. So bear with us. Okay, that's it for trust.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so thank you, Adam, for the explanation. So we just give a chance, one opportunity to one person in this plenary to share your feeling and your ideas towards this respondent. It can be in terms of the percentage of the respondent in each, no matter which category or each of the category or in the general. So it's a very simple one. Just share how do you feel about this general survey towards the trust.
we should not ask.
Thank you, Sabi.
So because of the time, so
Hello. Yeah. I'm gonna give my view on that. Actually, the reason why I'm part of that sort of because we can actually hear news that there are corruption in those institutions, that they don't really actually do things the way it should be done. That's why, and then we don't really know them. That's why we are on the fence on whether they are to be trusted or not. That's why I answered most of the questions on trust on sort of. I don't really just say that no, they can't be trusted. I still give them a chance, but yeah, something like that. Sort of.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the sharing. For our perspective, so we have a group of people who discuss on this survey, and we figure out that there's some meaning behind all these respondents. Why is there a high percentage of people saying sort of? Some people say sort of because there's something they need to measure. For example, for this institution, they did something good, and at the same time, there's something that can be improved. So, which makes me feel that I trust you, and maybe I not trust you, so I sort of trust you. So, and we further analyze what is the meaning behind this, and we figure out that in different countries, Malaysia, Philippines, in Bangladesh, in India, so that's the people that we have in the group, and we figure out that sometimes we want to fill out a survey. Some people have a fear. When I fill a survey asking, do I trust my government? Will the government do anything to me? I'm scared, so I will choose not to fill it out. Some people will think from their perspective, this institution do a lot of bad things to some people, so I think I don't need to trust them. So I will just say, yeah, I don't care, or not at all. So, and the conclusion of our analysis will be, there are the people, especially the youth who fill out this survey, they're lacking of the awareness, and some people who really don't care at all about the issue.
So as part of our group's recommendation, so first, before we jump into this kind of questions, we should have some preparatory, or we should measure their awareness about these organizations. Because for example, me, I don't know anything about those trade unions. So how can I answer a good, I mean, I may misdirect the researchers because I just thought of an answer, something like that. So maybe we should add some preparatory or analyze how do they understand these organizations.
Yeah, and exactly. Understanding is very important before we proceed to ask them how much do you trust on us.
And next is, the sort of is kind of ambiguous.
Okay,
so,
Jethro, so how do you think about
addressing that?
the ideas, the solution that we propose to this survey to improve better?
So, from this not at all, sort of, sure I do, totally I don't care. So, this is kind of ambiguous in our context because, for example, sort of can mean I don't know anything about it, or sort of, I kind of supported them. So maybe we can actually change it to somewhat Likert scale or the happy face, so it will be more understandable for people. And also we should add an option that I don't know anything about this.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
All
from
right,
us.
give it up, please.
Thank
Put your
you.
hands together. Thank you. All right, now we're going to get personal. We're going to address the questions around relationships. Take it away. Thank you.
Yes, hello, hello. So we're going to get into the part of the survey that talked about relationships. And I want to start by conducting my own little survey right here.
Oh, wow.
Hello, Miss Zara. Are you in a relationship?
Yes, I am.
Oh, yes, she is. Okay, 100% is in a relationship from my survey. All right, so let's get to the real survey.
Very
So-
smooth, very smooth.
So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to look at each question because these questions were meant for the European continent. So maybe we're gonna look at how it can be better contextualized for the Asia Pacific region. Maybe certain questions would be irrelevant or they could be phrased better. After that, I'm gonna look at maybe surprising things that we saw from the data, maybe things that we didn't expect from the respondents here in the forum. And lastly, we're gonna look at recommendations on how the questions could be phrased better from Jelly. So let's get on to it. The first question. Faithfulness within a relationship is a has-been, that's for our parents, vital, you can't have a relationship without it, not automatic, or is it something you can do but do it discreetly? So here we see only half of the respondents within the forum say that it's a vital part of a relationship to be faithful. But it could be confusing. What does faithfulness mean? Does faithfulness mean that I am always only with one partner? Or does faithfulness mean that I never lie to my partner? Because there are new kinds of relationships coming out these days where people are in open relationships where they have several partners and they all know about the other partners. So we see here that trend of new kinds of relationships is coming out. That although a lot of people still believe in that old monogamous relationship, like I only stick to one, we see a few people accepting the new kind of relationship wherein people, not necessarily everyone has to stick with one partner. Next question. So here, this is kind of defining how different your friends are from you. So this is really trying to measure the diversity of the types of friends we have. We see different defining traits for these different circle of friends, different social backgrounds. I have close friends in different ethnic groups, religion, culture, etc. Looking at the question, it might be kind of difficult to determine what is a close friend. Is it someone I feel comfortable with? Or is it one of my best friends that I can say anything with? So maybe we could have a better definition for that. But looking at the answers, we see that it's kind of on average, people have different kinds of friends. It's about at 60%. And when we discussed it with our group, many people felt that it was an okay number, but also that's pretty diverse, 60%. But also other people felt that it should be higher because we're all in an international forum, yet our friends are not so diverse. So imagine even the people who don't get the opportunity to be in such an international event, how diverse are their friends? So maybe it could be lower. So next question.
2 minutes, team.
All right. Okay, so do you have friends you can rely on? Here, you have lots, and I can really count on them. Some, I've got friends, but you can't ask too much of them, and no. So here, it's very understandable. There are a lot of people with very close friends, but there's not very surprising, there's small amount of people who have friends, but they're not so reliable. So I guess that's kind of sad, but it's understandable. And again, we see the word friends is tossed around here, but we don't know exactly what a friend is. It could be a Facebook friend, but you might not consider them as a real life friend. So again, maybe a definition could help a lot. Next question. Have you ever been in multiple relationships at the same time? So 13% said yes. And this could go back to our observation of new kinds of relationships coming out. But again, the traditional view of relationships prevails with 60% at no. Next question.
I just want to remind everyone that these were questions for Europe. I don't think that point can be asserted anymore. But so thank you very much for going through this.
All right, then this one asks about a relationship with parents. And when we discuss it with our group, some people were surprised with how good the relationships of people had with their parents. We see it's prevailing at like 60% with cool or ideal, but then there's only a few 15% who find it meh or super tense. So we see a lot of diversity in terms of relationships with parents. Next question. And here, this is an interesting one. For you, a one-night stand is an emergency, anyone will do. Nobody said that.
Done this.
A chance encounter, no drama. A love story, that's just the beginning. Or impossible, never on the first date. So again, we see this concept of conservatism or traditional values with relationships and sex. And we see that more and more people are getting more liberal. They're more understanding of sex in different contexts rather than marriage. But then again, around half still feel that the traditional definitions should be true. Next. Here, what does relationship mean to you? Here, you can just read the different definitions. I think this one is not very surprising. People really do look at relationships in very different ways. There's no fixed definition for everyone, but it's kind of sad that 3% think it's just a source of suffering.
We got to move on. Thank you so much. Excellent. And we would love to hear your thoughts and ideas on relationships. I can hear the room bristling with discussion about this subject. We're going to only be able to give the rest of the questions a couple of minutes. So let's do less explanation and just go through the data, okay?
All right.
Okay, the next one.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, so it's time to put up the world to rights. So this is about how the millennials see the society today. Now, first is there are too many old people. So we can see that most of the youths answered, or almost half of the youth answered no. So in our definition in the group, our definition of old people are people ages 40 and above. This is maybe because most of the people that we work with in the developmental sector are more young people. There are more young people. Next.
There are too many civil servants. So this brings up the question about involvement of the government and how we see us being represented and how we see the governments would represent us.
It is interesting, though, that in the survey, only half of the participants answered, and around 44% of the respondents skipped it. So this is maybe because people or youngsters do not understand what civil servants means. In fact, in our group, we discussed what do you mean by civil servants? There are members in the group who do not understand. We have different definition. Some says that it's only someone who is involved in the politics. Some are just working for the government. Maybe that's why young people skip it. Next.
There's too much injustice, and we see here that 64% said yes and only 2% said no. Something that we would want to tackle on with regards to this question is how much contribution does the youth get in when they see these injustices, and where exactly do these youth see injustice? Is it in the sector of public service? Is it because of war, etc., etc.?
Also, we in our group wanted to ask what could be the possible reason of the injustice? What are the views of the youth about it? Next.
There's too much freedom.
Freedom. In our group, we have various discussions. We have, in fact, very interesting discussion about freedom. Although in the survey it says that 45% of the youth says that there's not much freedom nowadays. But when we discuss about social media, we think that there's too much freedom in social media when it comes to youth, because youth nowadays post anything. There's not much responsible posting online. But when we talk about freedom, especially in other countries, some of non-Filipinos in the group sees it as there's not much freedom because until now, there's no much opportunity for them to express themselves really, like to show to the world who they are, like freedom as a whole. Next.
All right, we're going to have to do the last few. Let's go through them quickly.
Individualism.
Okay, so with regards to this question, we want to tackle on the issue of individualism in a way that we in the group actually are collaborating together, but then it's surprising that 46% of us see that there's still a lot of individualism, and this tackles like our culture of being afraid to fail and always looking for our competitive edge every time.
Also, we discuss what individualism means because a lot of us has a different definition about individualism. Others think that it's more about thinking about just you, and others think that it's about being involved in the group. But why is it that the youths who are involved here in ADB, in this forum, who are already has a lot of networks, still think that there's too much individualism? Next.
We're going to have to go to the next group for the final presentation. Thank you very much. Again, lots of themes questioning, be careful of language, be careful of how relevant it is to your audience. There's a lot of interesting questions that can come from this kind of data. And the last one, agree or disagree. And we just have a couple of minutes for this, my friends.
Good afternoon. So, before we will present the data, I would like to ask you, how are you going to answer a question answerable only by yes or no? And how are you going to answer a question answerable only by agree or disagree? Let me ask one before we proceed. How are you going to answer a question answerable only by agree or disagree?
That depends on the question.
Right, so it depends on the
Good point.
question. Okay, so these questions that is being raised in the survey will describe us or will define if it is credible, is it reliable, or how are we going to guarantee the accuracy and veracity of the survey. Okay, first question.
The first question is 20 is the best age to be. Then 41% says I agree, and then 25% say I disagree. Next. So, where there is a will, there is a way. 65% says I agree, and then 3% they don't agree. So, do you have something to say? Okay, next one.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you.
Money is given so much importance in today's society. There's a lot of says I agree, and then next.
For that question though, the group raised particular questions or supporting questions because the money can be can be found in different contexts of needs, wants, and the actual earnings that you have. Next question.
You can't make it through life without some solidarity. 57% says they agree for that kind of question.
Next question.
Next question. Then the only person you can count on is yourself. Then there's a lot says that they don't agree. Okay. Previous. Okay. Ano? Previous. generations are to blame for the problems facing you today. Then there is a lot of respondents says they don't agree for this kind of question. Then in periods of high unemployment, jobs should be reserved for men. And then a lot says that they don't agree.
So mind you, in this, though the respondents here are only 3 men who agreed for I agree. Last question.
Okay. In period of high unemployment, jobs should be reserved for nationals. So this is a kind of crucial question that our group is facing. That's why we are 3. Then a lot of the respondents says that they don't agree for this.
Okay, so looking forward to the questions actually, you may think that we're something like an evil thing to critique the questions because this is about how to guarantee the questions. There are factors to consider. Are the answers reliable? Actually, we always have to consider first the age of the respondents, the education, the civil status, the belief, tradition, culture, the community where he or she came from. So as you would observe that there are some fall downs of the answers. You would say that you disagree and the others will agree. It's because of that we do have different beliefs.
Overall, under these questions, I agree and disagree. There were a lot of suggestions to be sent to UNESCO for editing or amending or adding up supporting questions so that they can actually get more data. And since they are copied from the French questionnaires, it is still improving for the Asia and the Pacific. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
very
much. I want to say something. It is almost criminal that we should ask these young people to come here and ask these questions to you so briefly to such a huge room. So a big round of applause to all these young people for coming up here and presenting. I want to say it's been a pleasure for UNESCO to be here. These questions, these campaigns, these national campaigns will be created in collaboration with sociologists, with local experts, and with young people. And we hope that we'll be able to engage you in that process and think for one moment how you can use this survey and use tools like it to inform your advocacy, to inform your work, and to take evidence-based approaches to your efforts. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you.